Hello! The Universities of Wisconsin Institute for Urban Education is a UW system-funded program housed at UW-Milwaukee. Students from any UW campus can apply to the IUE if they would like to student teach or receive a paid internship in southeastern Wisconsin. Our partner districts have made available over $200,000 in internship funds, and we want to connect teacher candidates from around the state to these paid opportunities. Stipends range from $5,000 to $6,000 a semester. The first step in the IUE process is to reach out to your clinical coordinator on your home campus. They can give you more information about our program and an application. Once you've applied and your application has been accepted, we work to find you a student teaching placement or an internship opportunity in the district of your choice. We're currently placing in Milwaukee Public Schools, West Allis, South Milwaukee, Racine, and Waukesha. During your semester with the IUE, you will receive support and mentorship by attending 8 bi-monthly culturally relevant practices cohort meetings with your peers. These take place in the evenings, mostly online, with a couple of in-person gatherings. We've interviewed 5 former IUE candidates who are now teaching in our partner districts so that they might share directly with you a bit about their experiences with our program.
Hi, I'm Kara and I attended UW-Madison. I came to UW-IUE during spring 2021 semester. I currently teach 4th grade at Milwaukee Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Haley and I attended UW-Milwaukee. I came through the IUE during the fall 2021 semester. I currently teach 3rd grade in Racine.
Hi, my name is Emma and I attended UW-Oshkosh. I came through the UW-IUE program in fall 2023 and I currently teach high school English in Milwaukee Public Schools.
Hi, I am Aaron. I attended the UW-Stevens Point. I came through the UW-IUE during the spring semester of 2021, and I currently teach high school social studies here at South Milwaukee.
Hi, I'm Veronica, and I attended UW-La Crosse. I came through the UW-IUE program during the fall 22 semester. I am currently teaching world history at West Allis High School.
When I was getting ready to start my student teaching, it was kind of a strange time because it was during the COVID-19 pandemic. I had a couple things that were important to me. One, I didn't have much in-person teaching experience. I was coming from a different career and I hadn't worked much with kids, and it was during COVID, so our field work looked a little bit different than normal. And two, I really wanted to try and be paid for my student teaching if at all possible, because it was definitely a challenging time to be working full-time for free. So when I saw that there were a couple of different internship opportunities at UWM, I did some research, and as soon as I learned more about what the IUE does, their mission, and about the additional classes that we, or cohort classes that we attended throughout the program, I knew that it was the right fit because it blended getting paid for my student teaching and increasing my experience with students and education in general.
I really wanted to experience the Milwaukee School District before I got a job here because I've only ever lived in Madison. So I knew that I wanted to move here and I gave it a shot through IUE.
I chose IUE because I was looking for a student teaching experience that was outside of La Crosse, something that was a little bit new, and I decided that IUE was a right fit for me after talking to one of my advisors who had a student that was in IUE. So I was able to connect with that IUE student, we were able to communicate, and it just seemed like something that I would be interested in.
When I was getting into student teaching, I knew that I wanted to push myself outside my comfort zone. I grew up in the area around UW-Oshkosh, so I know the people, I know the language, I know the culture, and I knew that I wanted to kind of expand myself beyond that, and I knew that the IUE could do that for me.
Going through the coursework at Stevens Point and doing some practicums up there in that area, it was definitely a different demographic than I would be teaching down here in the Milwaukee area, and so I was a little bit concerned, would I have the skills, would I be able to connect with the kids in the same way that I have been elsewhere? Some
of the thoughts that I had were that I wasn't going to like the school that I was at, especially everybody comes into things with biases, and I'm not very familiar or wasn't very familiar with Milwaukee at the time. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be in a really bad school. And so I was just more anxious of what is this school gonna look like, how are things gonna be? And then once I got here and got into it, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is great. I loved West Allis, I loved the IU program, everybody was so helpful and nice.
My concern moving here was that I would be too far away from my home school to be able to communicate with my staff there and the staff at IUE and in MPS. And when I was at both, I was able to maintain all my relationships and enhance them at the same time.
I was placed in Milwaukee Public Schools. Milwaukee Public Schools is the biggest school district in the state. So I was going in completely blind. I had no idea what I was going to be facing. MPS serves students of all socioeconomic statuses, so I knew that I was coming in with quite a reputation to uphold. But once I got into my school, started working with my cohort and with my co-teachers, I knew that I was going to be fine.
I loved the IUE. I feel like it really did prepare me for teaching because the IUE focused more on the human side of teaching. So in your certification program, or in my certification program, you learn all about the education system and how to kind of operate within it as a teacher. But you don't learn as much about the people that you're going to be working with. And when it comes down to it, that's what's most important. So it was really helpful in the IUE to talk about people's different lived experiences, to learn about different systems in society that directly impact the education system and directly impact our students and families' lives that are still extremely relevant to their educational experience. That's not necessarily explicitly how to teach. It's about how they are, how they learn, and learning about those experiences is just the best way to gain experience when you're not in the classroom. I think that knowing as much as you can about different populations and about yourself is so helpful when you're, a new teacher and trying to find your way and do your best for your students.
Working with the IUE helped me a lot as I was a student teaching intern. I had accelerated responsibilities in terms of taking over the classroom, working with curriculum, and working with students and families. So the IUE was able to give me resources and language and support to be able to do so.
I think student teaching with IUE helped in terms of my communication with parents and families, and how I'm able to kind of relate content to them, but then also relate, what we're doing in class and how does that relate to them in the real world. I would also say that it helped with my classroom management and being able to kind of effectively manage a classroom, not necessarily as a dictator, but as someone who's able to kind of roll with the punches as the kids might throw them. And then the last thing I would say is, how do I make the curriculum and my expectations attainable for students without necessarily lowering the bar, lowering the standard.
The most impactful part of the IUE program was our cohort meetings. We had so many good discussions. One of the best parts about the cohort is having like a built-in support system. These other students are having very similar experiences to you, and it's a time, we always had time at the beginning of our sessions to chat about what's going on with us. Student teaching is hard. It's very hard, and doing an internship is difficult as well, but it's absolutely worth it. And when you have people who are going through similar things and are ready to support you and get support from you and at the same time, it's just such an invaluable thing to have. You never know, really. Obviously you hope that you end up in a good place with good people surrounding you, but you can definitely end up with some people who are more negative about the education system or what might be going on in the classroom. And that can be really, really tough when you're brand new and everything is hard. It can kind of really get your mindset in a bad place. So being able to talk with people who were going through these hard things but still absolutely knew that we were doing the right thing and that we would get through it, especially supporting each other, was absolutely necessary to get through.
I think the most impactful part of the IU program was getting to know my students. It was awesome to be able to experience Milwaukee and get to know other educators who were in the IUE program, but really what made the difference was building those relationships and getting to know the students and looking beyond what the biases were that I had coming in when I was applying for IUE.
I would say the most impactful part were the cohort meetings. I was a little bit nervous leaving the family that I had made up in Stevens Point. knowing that they were going to be doing their student teaching up there and not necessarily sure about what life would look like student teaching back home in the Milwaukee area without my friends up in Stevens Point. And so those cohort meetings definitely helped me through. It was nice to have a group of people who were experiencing the same or similar things as me, who were able to commiserate with me, but also who were able to celebrate the successes that we had.
Do communicate with others, communicate with your cohort, communicate with your supervisors, communicate with your co-teachers. If you need anything, just let them know. Another do would be do celebrate the small stuff. It might feel like a teeny tiny victory, like if you can get a kid to participate in class, or if you got a positive email from a parent, just tell your cohort it is a big deal. And do take care of yourself. This is a big responsibility. You are a teacher. You might be far from home, you might be far from your home campus, so don't forget to take care of yourself.
First, do your readings. So the readings in the throughout your IUE experience are valuable, and honestly, they're so much different from typical readings that you'll do in classes. They're much easier to read, things that you'll want to talk about with people who aren't even in your cohort. So definitely don't skimp on your readings. My second IUE do is get to know your cohort. So I mentioned before, that's absolutely, one of the most valuable things about this experience. And the closer you can, make those bonds, and the more you can build up your support network, the better off you're going to be, and not just for your internship experience, but beyond as well. I still have friends from our cohort. And then third, bring your own ideas as well. I think that it's obviously important to come with an open mind and be ready to learn, but I think that it's important too to think about something before you go to each cohort meeting that you want to talk about. Try to bring something, because as a teacher, your list will get very long and you might forget about those things unless they're top of mind. So if you can, keep track of some things that you definitely want to talk about.
Do show up, do be vulnerable, do be confident.
My 3 do's are do be open to new scenarios, open to new experiences. Do build connections with other staff in the building. I think it's easy to really focus in on your specific classroom and your specific cooperating teacher, but don't be afraid to meet other staff and interact with them. They have a lot to offer as well, and your student teaching, not just with your cooperating teacher, but with your school and your building. And then do be present. Have a presence in that school. Know that you're not just a student teacher, you are another adult in the room, you are another teacher in the room. And so feel free to take those opportunities and those chances.
Reach out for help if you need it. Take the resources that the supervisors and the professors give you, and come in with an open mind.
Don't miss those cohort meetings. They're one of the highlights of my student teaching.
Don't build up like an image in your head of what you think it's going to be. Like, come in, as I said, come in open-minded. Don't come in and expect everything to be perfect, and don't come in without a growth mindset.
Don't stress. Don't say no to any opportunities. And don't take your time with Amy for granted.
Do not have a closed mind. I think that's very important in all things, but especially when you're learning about other people's experiences. The last thing you want to do is come in with your own preconceived notions and having decided things already. So definitely don't have a fixed mindset. Don't, decide things before you learn more. Don't focus on the negative. So this can be challenging when you are student teaching and going through these experiences that are very, very challenging and very tiring. You're going to be very tired. Absolutely do your best to vent, but then try to focus on something positive. Always think back to what went well, or think back to what you can do differently next time if you really feel like there was nothing good that day.
Inclusion, integrity, and individuality.
community, development, value.
Rigorous, supportive, and authentic.
Educational, fun, and this is more than 3, but like definitely once in a lifetime.
As odd as it sounds, the highlight of my year last year, and I'm sure it's going to be the highlight of my year this year, is the end of the school year. Not because I'm leaving them and all the joy that they have brought me throughout the course of the year, but because for some of them, they're sad to go. And I think that meant that, you know, we have done a good job as a school.
My favorite thing about teaching is getting to know my students, building the relationships with them, and getting to see the little light in their eyes when they finally figure something out.
My favorite thing about teaching is partnering with all of the different assets that we have in the building, all of the students, the paras, all of the other teachers, and our specialists, making the best relationships that we can for our kids and families.
All right. Get up.
Like,
Are you filming?
yeah, like just I want to add a part where you just get out of the chair.
Of the frame?
Let's
Okay.
just get out. Do you want me to sit back down? Do we want to try that again?
Yeah.
Should I do an old man groan? I've done that a lot more.
Hey, do it again. You do it perfectly.
We're gonna do like a 20-minute outtake.